What is up, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. I am so excited for tonight because I am bringing you a new episode of Comic Collector Origins. Yes, it has been a long time now, almost a year since I did my last Comic Collector Origins, but we are back here for an exclusive and special edition episode. So I'm really excited for tonight, because the other weird thing is it is a Wednesday evening, new comic book day, but otherwise, usually this show used to always be on a Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is a little bit different environment for me as well. But I will say I am very excited to have this show back here for a bit. Really excited for the guests that I have for tonight. For those who are not familiar with this show, Comic Collector Origins is all about you, the collector, the reader, the person who enjoys this hobby the most. It is where, we always talk about origins of superheroes and first appearances and when did they show up in a comic and things like that. I always wanted to just flip those questions and ask the friends that I've met online and the collectors that I've met through this great hobby, and to want to know your origin story, how you got started in your hobby and of collecting and reading. And one of the biggest things about this particular episode is, I always want to say issue, is that we are going to be highlighting the HERSHEY COMIC CON that takes place coming up here in July 1st and 2nd in Pennsylvania. And of course, in order to do this, we have the head promoter here. So Joe Figured, he is the one who has put all this together. I had the opportunity and the pleasure to go last year for my first time to HERSHEY Comic Con, and I had an absolute blast. And it was packed. It was jam-packed last year. It was just around the same time, summertime last year in Pennsylvania. And man, it was so much fun. There was a huge turnout, much bigger than I didn't even know what to expect when I first came to the show. So I was so excited about it. And now this year they're going bigger and better and having 2-day events instead of just a 1-day. So like I said, July 1st and 2nd coming up here this year. But of course, like I said, I have with me my special guest, Joe Figured. So let me bring Joe on now. My man, Joe, what is going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Well, hey, look, I appreciate first and foremost for taking some time to be on the show with me tonight. Like I said, I haven't done a Comic Collector Origins in a little while here. So, I'm excited to, get back into it, and even more so to talk to you, to learn more about you and your origin. And then, of course, HERSHEY Comic Con as well.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go. Let's
do
it.
Absolutely. So for anyone watching right now, or if you're here watching the replay later on, all of Joe's links are in the description below, his website and everything else. So make sure that you check out HERSHEY Comic Con. Like I said, coming up here in July, definitely if you're in the area. I know, Joe, you get people that even travel, further out from PA, right, to come to this show?
Oh yeah. Actually, to be quite frank with you, I am surprised the distance that people travel to the Hershey show. Obviously Hershey's down in South Central Pennsylvania, but we have people travel from as far as Pittsburgh west and as far as New Jersey going east, and then down into Maryland south. But we've actually had people further south than that. It reaches out pretty far. A good 3+ hour radius. It's surprising. Yeah.
That is awesome. So great to hear, and I'm glad to see it continue to grow. So yeah, before we get into the details, because I have a ton of questions for you,
Sure.
I want to take a moment, say hello to the chat here. So let me light up a couple names, because I do see a couple people just hanging out. My man Phil's Treehouse. Good to see you, Phil. I hope you're doing well. Let's see, we got Mastodon Comics and Music as well. Donnie, good evening, my friend. We also got Todd Christian in the house. What is up, Todd? Good to see you as well. And then we got Lady No Good in the chat as well. Hello, Lady No Good. So yes, appreciate everybody. I see we got 9 hanging here. If you guys have questions for Joe, just throw it in the chat here. If you have questions about the Comic-Con coming up, throw it in the chat here. I'm sure Joe can answer it. A few more that just came in. We got my man Conlin Comics in the house saying hello all. We also have my dad here, Greg LaRoque, saying hello everybody as well. Nice. Appreciate it, Dad. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do have some exciting stuff to share as well that's coming up in the next couple of weeks or next month. So we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So we also got, let's see, Eric T. Huffman in the house. What's going on, Eric? Thanks for swinging by. Again, if you guys are not following the Hershey Comic Con channels on social media, make sure you do so. I put all the information in the description below, so make sure you do that as well. Again, this Comic Con is coming up July 1st and 2nd, so it's going to be here before you know it, right, Joe? I feel like I keep saying like, oh, it's like a month and a half away, but like it's going to be here before we know it, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, we do count it. We are counting it down, so to speak. And yeah, we
Exactly.
actually had a meeting last night to talk about some of the nuts and bolts. And yeah, it's yeah, I can remember, a couple of months ago it was like, oh, we got like 6 months, and then it's 3 months, and now it's like a month, month and a half, and it's like, oh yeah, next
Yeah.
it'll be about a week and a half.
We yes, you're like we got time, we got time. Like,
Yep.
it's gonna come
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yep.
Let's say we also have T Motors 22 in the chat as well. Ryan Samsel, good to see
Oh,
you, Ryan.
cool. Yeah, Ryan's one of our customers. Yep.
Nice,
That's
nice,
cool.
good stuff, good
Yep.
stuff. And I see X-Men Mike as well. What is up, Mike? What's going on? Representing the X-Men. I got you, man. I got you. All right, so let's get into this, Joe. So first, I want
Yeah,
to talk about kind of your history and your experience with comic books in general before we get into the
sure.
Hershey Comic Con stuff. So for
Yeah.
you, what got you into comics? How, when did you get into comics? What was your environment like? I mean, did you do it right as you were a kid, or was this later in life that you got into comics? Where do you stand with the hobby itself?
So, I started reading comics when I was a teenager in
Mm,
high school.
yep.
And I specifically remember, pretty sure my mother got me a couple comics when I was sick. And she started me with some Mad magazine and a couple superheroes books. And I don't know, she just thought I wanted to try out some comics. So I started reading some comics, and believe it or not, I still have those comics
Oh
in
wow,
my collection, which is
wow.
weird. And I've been collecting comics now for 40 plus years. Um, and so I've loved comics from the inception, buying them, or actually my mother bought me them,
Yeah,
when I was a teenager. So yeah, it's a great hobby. It's just so much to do and see and read and whatnot. I mean, it's really full of a lot of good stuff. Um,
yeah.
and so yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. And you know I read a lot of books. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that's
Yep.
great, man. That's the best part
Yep.
about it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I'm curious, like, as you were growing up, like, what were you reading? Like, what was some of, were you a Marvel guy? Were you a DC guy? Were you kind of mix and match? Did you have?
Yeah. Oh, have a break there. I don't know if you could still hear me.
Oh, sorry,
Yep,
I
there we
might have
go.
cut out there.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, yeah, cut there for a minute. Yeah, so I mean, I think everybody is introduced. I mean, at least I was to Marvel at an early age,
Yeah.
and over the years, you start to sort of like dabble into other, into other companies. And so I read a lot of Marvel.
Mhm.
I was a big Hulk fan. Big Hulk fan, and as you can tell, actually, I got a Hulk shirt on,
Nice.
and Wolverine was one of my favorite characters. But as you get older, for whatever reason, I say this all the time. You start to like look into the indies, and you're curious about some of the DC characters. At least I was,
Mhm.
and believe it or not, you start to balance it out with a little independence and some DC. And before you Doom Patrol is actually one of my favorite
Oh, nice.
groups. They're really and I've been a Doom Patrol fan from day one. And
Yeah.
I just and you know what the cool part about it is I can talk Doom Patrol all day long.
Right.
And I turn other collectors onto Doom Patrol, and once they read and I always reference this, the 80s Paul Kupperberg series
Yeah.
with Steve Lytle art. I mean, you're hooked. I mean, that is such a great series.
Oh
And
man. All right.
I had a guy in the shop, and he just once I introduced him to that, he was just like, "Oh my god, that's so good." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's not only the artwork, and it's the storyline and everything, and you're
Mm,
really getting grossed into it."
yeah.
So I like turning collectors onto stuff that I like. And and I don't recommend, like, yeah, you got to read this just because it's the hot book of the week kind of thing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I tell them because it's a good story and the artwork is awesome. I mean, that's the other thing with reading comics. I mean, you read the stories, but then you start to really get engrossed into the artwork, and that's really what I appreciate. I
Yeah,
appreciate the writing, but I also appreciate the artwork, and
sure.
you get to get absorbed into the panels
Yeah,
and really appreciate the artwork. That's why I have a nice selection this year, a bigger selection than last year. I mean, we did grow quite a bit, and we got some really big names coming this year.
yeah.
Um, that I think a lot of people would really appreciate meeting. I know
That's
I
awesome.
do. I'm excited for the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So I'm going to add Doom Patrol to my list for
Oh
reading.
my
By the
God, yeah.
way, you're gonna have to give me some
Yep.
specifics on where to start. But
Well, here's the cool thing, man, and I get excited. So
yeah, I love
here's the
it.
cool thing, and I didn't even know this.
Yeah,
I mean, I was blown away. I was like, uh, John, the guy who works at the shop, he was putting together the credits for all the creators and stuff as we do the ads and whatnot. And he
yeah.
says, "Hey, Joe Staten did Doom Patrol," and I looked at him. I was like, "What do you, Joe Staten did Doom Patrol?" He's like, "Yeah, it's on his credit list." And I was like, "No, he didn't." And I'm like, and I pulled up the first issue of that series, and in the back, he did all of the characters. He drew all the
Oh,
characters and
yeah,
did what all their superhero powers are and everything. And I'm like,
yeah, yeah. That was
boy, do
him.
I feel stupid. I learned, it's like, do I feel stupid? And so I'm going to get him to sign my Doom Patrol 1, which
There
is
you go.
signed by Paul. And yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That is perfect. I was gonna say
Yeah.
he's gonna be there this year, right? That
Yes, he
saw
is.
him
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
list.
He's one of our guests. Yeah.
Wow, that's perfect.
Yep.
It's so funny too when you think you know all of it, or
Yep.
about something you love, and you find another little gem,
Sure.
just that extra, add on that's extra special. So that's
It
really
is.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're never too old to learn a little more?
No, exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So I have to ask, as you were, you started out, your parents were buying you books, comics,
Sure.
off the rack, over time, obviously, as you get older, school and life and family and
Yep.
everything else takes over. Were you always into comics like for life, or were there times where you kind of stepped away from the hobby for a little bit?
It's pretty crazy. Even when I was going to college after high school, I had my shop back in Scranton,
Mm,
and my friend Al, who owned the shop, would hold me books, and I would take a trip in either once or twice a month, and
mm,
I'd have a big old stack of comics waiting for me, and
love it.
I'd get the comics and I'd bring them back with me, and I just read them back at college. And
Yep.
so no, there was no break, absolutely
Wow.
no break. I just nonstop for 40 plus years, man. It's been, and man, I'll tell you what, it's you read, like, just say you read one Spider-Man and then they do a crossover storyline. So
Mhm.
you have to read, like, Web of Spider-Man and
Oh yes.
Spectacular Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man that McFarlane did. And
Yeah.
so before you know it, you're reading all the Spider-Man titles.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how they
They
they,
get you.
they do they do get you.
They
They
really
pull
is,
you
they
right in.
really is.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, yep. I'm
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that now with all the X-Men titles that are
Oh my
currently out,
God, yeah, X-Men is a big time culprit with that. Their storylines span over multiple titles. Yep.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my wallet feels that, that's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
couple of comments here. First of all, Mike said he lives about an hour and a half, sorry, from Hershey. Dude, you should
Yep.
come to the show.
Yeah.
I'll hit you up later, Mike. I'll give you the details. Eric says Joe's turning new people onto Doom Patrol as we watch. There you go,
Oh,
Eric.
wow, cool. I love
Take
it.
some
I
notes.
love
Take
it.
some notes. Yeah,
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, I'll tell you. Yep. Joe
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah. Joe Staten sneaks up on you like that. He's like a great
Yep.
ghost. Don.
Yeah.
Go
So,
ahead, Joe.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, and we'll wrap up the whole Doom Patrol thing. But seriously, I mean, I can't talk enough about it.
yeah.
When you read, and so what I did when I started reading that, I actually went backwards. I
Mm,
started collecting all of the original Doom Patrol stuff, which
mm,
started in My Greatest Adventures number 80. So I
mm.
have that from there forward, as well as all of the '60s stuff and then all the '80s stuff. And
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it's such a great team to read. I mean, everybody likes to say it's DC's X-Men, but
Right.
in reality, it really is because they're a bunch of oddball characters with oddball powers, and
Sure.
they're headed up by the Chief, which is
And I
basically
love
like yeah, like
like
Xavier,
yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like that would
but here's
kind of
the
fall.
thing:
Yeah.
they actually came out before X-Men.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say right there because
Yep,
they're from the
yeah,
'60s, right?
yep,
Yeah,
mhm,
that's a good point. That is a good
yeah,
point. I always hear Teen Titans being compared to the X-Men as well.
yeah,
And I
sure,
feel like Doom Patrol. I mean, let me just say, I love the energy that you have about Doom Patrol because I feel like
oh
I've
yeah,
never really talked to a fan that is as a diehard as you are about this. So I
yep,
love hearing the passion coming out of you
oh
right
yeah,
now just about it, and it makes me very curious. And I feel like Doom Patrol is probably a very underrated,
oh my God, yes,
set of characters because yes, you hear X-Men, you hear Teen Titans, like these are
yep,
Justice League, all these large groups that are out there, and I feel like I at least don't hear enough love for Doom Patrol, but I do know
sure.
that there's a TV show out. I
Yes.
haven't watched it, but I was going to ask if you were watching that at all. Is that
Yep.
any good?
Yeah, I did watch, the TV series, and you know what? The TV series definitely pulls more readers in,
Okay,
and that's and
that's
it
good.
is good for sometimes, movies and TV series really don't do much for the comics, but in
Sure.
this case, I think it brought them into the limelight a little more,
Oh, that's great. I wish
Yeah.
they could do more of that then, just to get
Oh, yeah,
you
definitely.
know.
Yep.
Let's see. Todd Christian said Doom Patrol has always been a decent read throughout its history. I like Rachel Pollack's run the best though.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, not
Yep.
familiar with that one, but yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so I want to. I know you mentioned before you referenced the shop. I know that you have a shop.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about that. Are
Yep.
you the owner of the shop? Is this your shop?
No, actually, it's
Okay.
owned by Tracy, she's my
Okay.
wife, and,
Cool.
so we've had that shop now, oh my god, it's probably, let's see, since 2016,
Wow.
and, so it'll be, what is that, 7 years now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had a shop before that. The current shop that we have is Isle of Comics, and that's in
Right.
South Williamsport, PA. I had a shop before that, it was America's Most Wanted Collectibles,
Oh.
and
Okay.
I had that for probably about 20 years,
Oh. Wow. Okay.
Yep. So I've been doing retail for probably like 25 now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Same about the same time basically as doing the promotions of the shows also.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Okay.
y-
Yeah. Yeah. So
yep,
you've been. This has all just kind of been part of your life for
yep,
a long time now.
yep, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's that like to even like as a kid growing up, like, loving comics to, knowing that, you're able to operate a
Yeah.
shop and work in the shop and things like that must be really cool.
After a while, you read comics for quite a few years, and you get into to the mindset. Well, hey, you know what? Maybe I should open up a comic book shop, and I did.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you what, it's so cool having a shop, because, you get all these great customers that come in and they wanna talk comics, and they wanna talk shop
Hmm.
and all that kinda stuff, and, it really is a cool feeling when you can come in and you can just pull books off the shelf or pull books out of the back issues, and you can just start talking storylines, because
Right.
like I said, I've read a lot of books over the years, thousands,
Right.
and, that's the cool part about it. It's obviously, yes, you wanna make money, but the other part is actually talking shop, getting
Hmm.
into the storylines, what's going on, what's coming up, and all that kind
Yep.
of stuff. And then the other part that was really cool that and like I said, I've been doing this like 25 years with the shows, is not only do you get to read the comics and you get to enjoy the comics, now you get to meet the guys and ladies that actually write and draw them. That's the cool part. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
that's where yep,
Yep. Spot on with
that's the
that.
fun.
You
Yep,
can't, yeah, absolutely. It's so cool, and like you said, to be able to talk to them, and obviously that something like Comic Con sets up perfect for giving that opportunity, to everyone nowadays, and younger people just getting into the hobby, things like that. So
sure.
I love that. I feel like you're giving back in a lot of different ways, and at the same time, just still continuing to just pursue, your love for comics at the same time. So it's cool how
Yep,
that all kind of works together.
sure.
A couple things in the chat here. One, want to say a quick hello to my man Steve, Hip Hops and Me. What is up, Steve? He said, "What's up, Justin and Joe? Good to see you,
Hello
man."
there.
Thanks for stopping in. And also, my dad had a Doom Patrol question. He said, "Did the '80s Doom Patrol exist in the DC universe of Batman and Superman?"
Yes. Yeah, as a
It did.
matter of fact, not only that, but there was issues in the Superman series that John Byrne was writing at the time that
Hmm.
crossed over with the Doom Patrol, and there was a really cool cover where it had, I think it was Superman's face on half of the screen, and then on the other half of the front cover was Robot Man, and so
Oh, nice.
yeah, it was actually prime time for crossovers. They
At
did
that
a
time.
lot of crossovers, but yes, yeah, there was some crossovers with Doom Patrol and some of the other. So yes, they were in the main universe. Yes.
Nice. All right, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Nice. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about Hershey Comic Con. That's one of the main
Sure.
things we want to highlight here.
Yep.
So I guess we'll start with the beginning. Like, how did it kick off for you? Like, um, how'd you even come up with the idea? And was it always in Hershey, or what? Tell us the history of
So
this.
yeah, so I'll give you some origins. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people know my history. Some people don't. And I won't bore the hell out of you. I promise.
No, you're good,
So
man. You're good.
yeah, so I got this idea a long time ago, that I thought, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to bring some of these guys and put them, have them at a show in a convention. And the very first convention that I had, believe it or not, was in this small amusement park in Central PA. It was a Knoebels amusement park, and it just so happens that your father was at my first convention. Which
Mm.
and I'm not dating you, Dad. I'm not trying to say how old you are here, but I mean we've been doing this party for 25 years.
Yeah.
But I had some of the coolest guys at my shows over the years, and that's the beautiful part of doing the promotion of the shows.
Mm.
The very first show I had Sal Buscema, your
Mm.
father Greg, Tim Truman, Keith Parkinson. I think I had 4 guests at my first show, and
Wow.
I'll tell you what, they were all just wonderful to have for a very, and I'll tell you what, we had a crazy turnout. It was really good.
Yeah.
Right in, and it was, what the cool part was? It was free. You know why it was free? Because
Why is it?
Knoebels Amusement Park is free to get in. So they
Ah,
said you gotta have free admission to the show if you're gonna put it on in the park.
yeah.
Well, we had free admission. How can you go wrong meeting Sal Buscema, Greg,
Insane.
and Tim
Yeah.
Tim Truman? I mean, it was cool. You know.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's
that was the very first show, and, it just basically snowballed after that. I mean, I put shows on in different parts of the state, in Scranton, PA,
mm.
State College, Pennsylvania, where, Penn State is,
Yep.
Harrisburg, and then getting up to the Hershey. I basically tried shows in different areas to see, how they would work out, meaning, is there enough of a collector base to draw enough people into the show to
Sure.
really make it worthwhile, not only for the people coming to the show, but really to have a nice crowd there,
Yeah.
keep it busy, and get a lot of people into meeting the writers and artists at
Mm.
the shows. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the big thing. You want to make sure you have something to draw people there to get them excited about coming to the show. And
Sure.
so jumping forward to Hershey, I've believe it or not, I've done Hershey. This will probably be the 6th show that I've
Oh,
had
okay.
at
Oh,
Hershey,
nice. Yeah.
although this is the 2nd show that I've had at this location. So
Okay.
I've tried different locations, and this one works out really nice because they have lots of room for expanding.
Mm.
And like I said last year, and you mentioned it also, we had a smaller venue. It was in one of the ballrooms.
Yep.
This year we have the entire facility,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
loaded with probably over 30. Well, there's well over 30 guests and a lot of independent writers and artists coming too.
Wow.
So it's grown really quick, and that's the cool part.
Yeah.
I mean, it's blossomed into a I call medium-sized show, 2-day
Sure.
show, and there's lots of things to do and see, at the show.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
yep,
what a transformation, even from just a year. I mean, again, I'm just thinking
yep,
back to what I saw just from this past year. And I know, obviously, one of the biggest things being now you're making this a 2-day event. That
sure,
alone, opens my eyes to things. And like I mentioned before, like, I didn't know what to expect when I went. Even just last year, that was my first time going, to Hershey Comic Con, and to see the crowd that was there and the line that you
Oh yeah,
had. I know that there's some video out there right now
yeah,
on your Instagram channel of showing some of that, but man,
yeah,
there was a ton of stuff there that was going on.
yeah.
I thought that was so cool, man.
Yeah, I will be frank with you, man. And you're right. It was pretty crazy. That the craziest part of the whole thing was, I knew we were going to get a decent crowd because we had some great guests at that
Sure.
show. I
Yeah.
mean, we really did. I had some fantastic guys and ladies last year,
Yep.
and so the thing that I loved telling about last year's show was, it was like literally about maybe 10-15 minutes before the door opened, and somebody at the front table or the admission table said, "Hey, go get." They tracked me down. I forget what I was doing. They tracked me down. They're like, "Oh, I'm like, what's the problem? What's the issue?" So I ran up to the admission area, and they're like, "There's a line across the whole hotel," and I'm like, "Okay," and they're like, "Well, but," and I'm like, "So what's the problem? I mean,
Yeah.
that's great. What do you? I mean, it was." I was just like, "Well, is there a problem here?" And I'm like, "The problem is there's a lot of people." Well, that's not a problem. That's a great
No.
problem to have, you
Yes,
know. And
absolutely.
it was. I mean, it was the greatest feeling coming out to the admission area, and
Yeah.
the line literally just went forever
Yep.
across the whole hotel and down one of the wings.
Yes, down one of the
And
wings.
yeah, and they were just like, "But like," I'm like, "Just let them in."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just
Yep.
let them in. And you're right, it was packed. I
Yeah.
mean, and it was, I mean, the only concern that I had was that there was so many people there that, I'm like, "Are we maxing this place out?"
Yeah, that's yeah.
Which, is a good problem, but you also
Totally.
don't wanna
You
have
see
people, yeah, having problems to
right.
get around either, so,
Right, right,
um
right.
so
No,
to that point, this
yeah,
year we have the whole facility so people can
yeah,
roam all over the place,
that's great.
and yeah, there's guests in all parts of the hotel. So,
Right, right. That's perfect.
yeah.
Couple comments here. My dad said good times as you were talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
him earlier.
Yep.
That's really cool. I didn't realize that he was there for the first one. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and Donnie said location, location, location. Yeah, it's cool that you
Yes.
took time to, like you said, test out all these different areas and that didn't just click on the first time per se. You had to kind of do
Sure.
your research, which makes sense. So,
Yeah.
um, and yes, Donnie, you got to watch out for the code violations. Yeah,
Yes.
that's for
That
sure.
was my concern. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I feel like it was even flowed enough where you could get around, and
Yeah.
while some people were getting in, other people were stepping out, and it kind of all just worked out.
Yeah.
Um, so, what are some of the? You have a couple highlights that you want to point out, or let the
Sure.
people know watching who's going to be there. I know they can obviously go to the website and check everything out, but
Yep.
who are a couple people you want to mention, or a couple of events or contests or anything else that you have going on
Sure.
that you want to
Yeah.
highlight.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing, about, like, and I'm not bragging about my show here.
Yeah,
I
no,
I I don't like putting on a show unless I have lots of things to do, lots of things to see, some great guests and whatnot.
sure,
So, of course, the highlight of this year's show is we have one of the biggest names in the industry, which, I'm very proud to have, Roy Thomas coming.
yeah,
And Roy
wow.
Thomas, also he worked with Stan Lee, for a long time at Marvel,
Hmm.
and he's a very nice gentleman. I've met him once before,
Yeah,
and we hooked up, and we have him. He's our guest of honor, of course, and he has such a rich history. He's written a lot of books, a lot of key issues. He worked on Avengers, Conan, Incredible Hulk. He was writer editor for a lot of years at Marvel.
yeah,
And so he's our guest of honor.
wow,
Great name, great guy to have.
yeah,
And then from there, I thought, well, you know what? We can't just have one guy. We have to build a nice lineup, and we did. I mean, I am so proud of all the guys that we have coming. And your father is one of them.
yeah,
Me and Greg go back a long time, and he's just a pleasure to have all the time. So, and
yeah.
I think I give him an open invitation. So whenever he's available, he wants to come. He's coming to my shows. Yeah. So,
He just
but
automatically
yes,
knows it. Yeah.
yep, yep. So, Greg LaRoque, who, I mean, I've known him for a long time. He's worked on one of my favorite characters, the Flash, and he did Web of Spider-Man and Legion of Superheroes. and a number of other titles, and that's
Mhm.
just a couple highlights. But he's such a great guy, and so super pleasurable to meet and talk to. So Greg is a guest. A couple other guys, Al Milgram, and the cool part about that is Al and your father are friends, and
Yes,
so I have them
we'll go
sitting
way
next to
back.
each other at the show. So
That's perfect.
hopefully they're not bored. They won't they won't be able to chat too much. They'll be busy drawing and signing books and stuff. But
Yes,
you
yes.
know, yeah. So
That's cool.
Al was a pleasure to get through the show.
Yep,
He's done an incredible amount of books over the years.
yep.
He and again, the cool part about that is he created one of my favorite characters. He actually is co-creator of Firestorm. So
Oh, okay.
yep.
Oh, I didn't
So
realize that, yeah.
yep, yep. I'm gonna probably have him do me a Firestorm sketch
Oh,
or
you have
something
to.
like that.
You have
Yep,
to, yeah.
yep. So we have Al Milgram, Howard Chaykin, who is he's I've met him once before, and he is such a nice guy, and he's done some really cool stuff. Award-winning character, American Flag, and he's worked on a lot of different stuff. As a matter of fact, he worked on Star Wars with Roy Thomas from the
Mm,
very inception when they did it Marvel.
wow.
So the very first Star Wars book was done by Howard and Roy. So
That's the
that's
team
cool.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you can get that book double signed.
yep,
Who else we got? Joe Staten, like I mentioned,
yeah, yep,
super nice guy. Created Kilowog from the Green Lanterns, and
mm,
who else? Bob Whitecheck, who worked on X-Men and a number of other titles. Hulk 1-340, which he did. If you remember the Claw cover with the Todd
mm.
McFarlane years,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
that's one
classic.
of his big books. Yep.
Yeah, yep,
So,
that's
and then
great.
there's a number of other guys. I mean, I can go on and on and on. We have like
Yeah,
Angel Medina, who was on Hulk and Kiss Psycho Circus. Some of these guys I have not met, but I've talked to,
yeah.
and I'm just very excited to really meet some of these guys. I'll probably end up spending some money, buying original artwork and whatnot.
Oh, you have
That's the
to.
other cool part of doing the shows. You can actually buy some artwork and prints and stuff. So,
Yeah,
um,
yep,
so
agreed.
there's a lot of writers and artists coming. I didn't name them all, but there's quite a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
But yeah, check the website out.
I was
Um,
just gonna say, yeah, check out the link,
yep.
yep.
The other cool thing that we've added this year that we really haven't done in a lot in previous years is we have voice actors and actresses coming,
Cool,
which is a little different angle for us. And I know their voice actors and actresses do a lot of other shows, but we
sure,
haven't had a lot of them in the past. But
right.
this year was pretty unique and cool. We had this one lady who reached out to us, and her name is Melanie Cohn, and she reached out to the Hershey page. And I was fanboy city. I'll tell you that right up front. I was a fanboy to the nth degree. And
Yeah,
and John's like, hey, there's this lady. Her name is Melanie Cohn, and she's the voice actress for Lucy from Peanuts.
uh,
I was like,
here, wait, the Lucy?
what? Are you kidding me? Oh my god! And I was just like, oh my god, where is she? We got to get her. That's so cool, And here's the crazy part: she actually got me hooked up with Charlie Brown. So
Oh, that
and
that's
he's
perfect.
we didn't even advertise him yet, so you're hearing it first here. We
Oh,
actually
there
have
it
the
is,
voice
cool.
yep, the voice actor for Charlie Brown coming.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I was just like and Peanuts is one of my favorites. Oh my god, I've watched so much Peanuts and
Yep,
whatnot over the years. So I actually get to meet the people who played the voice actors, the actresses for Peanuts.
that
Um,
is so
you
cool.
know, and so yeah,
Yep,
we're gonna have some voice actors and actresses there. The other
nice.
lady we have is Stephanie Nadolny, who
Mhm.
is a voice actress for Dragon Ball Z.
That is
So
really cool too.
yeah, I mean
I used to love
and,
Dragon Ball Z.
oh my god, man, who didn't like Dragon Ball Z? I mean, when
Right,
Pokemon started, I mean Dragon Ball Z, it was just an explosion of that
yep,
stuff back in the day.
yep,
So we're gonna have some voice actors and actresses, which is really cool.
yep,
The little different than we had in the past. Um,
mhm.
I always like to get some wrestlers at the show, or as some people like saying, wrestlers.
Yeah, some
Um,
wrestlers.
and yeah, so. But here's the really cool part about. And I know it sound like I'm getting real excited, but I
Yeah, no,
usually
it's
do get
great.
excited.
It's great.
Yep. So here's the cool part. I've had wrestlers at shows in the past, and usually I only have like one or maybe 2 or whatever, but never usually more than 2. This year we actually have 4.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so the cool part is and I'll be real brief with this is I thought, you know what? I don't want to have people at my show. I try not to have people who aren't personable.
Right.
So I did a little test run. I met Tony Atlas at a show
Hmm.
one time, and I sat back and I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to just watch how this guy operates, and then based on that, I'll maybe approach him and see if he's interested in coming to a comic book convention." And I'll tell you what, I'll say this until the day I die. Tony Atlas, if you have never met Tony Atlas, he is quite frankly probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Um, and he was so the part that got me right here, Justin, was the first time I met him. I was at that show and he had a little kid at his booth and he let him wear his WWF ring and
Oh,
and he put him up on his shoulder and
yeah.
I said, "You know what? That guy is coming to my show, one way, shape, or form." And I'll tell you what, I've probably had him at about a half a dozen shows, and he is just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, you know?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there's the Tony Atlas plug. And
I
then
love
after
it.
that, yeah, we ended up getting this year we have Cowboy Bob Orton, which I'm very happy to have.
Yeah.
And we have Andrew Anderson, who is
Nice.
a friend and a professional wrestler also. He's actually has the let me see if I can find the belt. Heroes and Legends Professional Wrestling
Hmm.
Champion.
Nice.
So maybe he'll bring the belt with him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll ask him if he's bringing the belt. And
Yeah.
another gentleman is Brimstone. So they all are wrestlers. Now Brim is no longer wrestling, but he
Right.
is into, and which we've talked about. Brimstone.
Hmm.
Um, very very nice guy. I've known him for quite a few years. So we have 4
Yeah.
wrestlers that are coming to the show, which is
It's
cool.
great. You're
Yeah.
reaching a lot of different audiences. Obviously, like,
Yes.
there's a little something
Yep.
for everybody, it seems like, at
Yeah.
a show like this,
That
which
that
is
is the
awesome.
cool part. I like to mix it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I noticed too, I know last year you had a ton of cosplay, people
oh
dressed
my
up
God.
there as well.
Yep.
The participation in that seemed really cool as well. Um,
Yep. That cosplay really surprised me a bit last year. I was
oh yeah.
overwhelmed, to be quite
Yeah.
frank with you. We had over 7, and I wasn't I mean, I was expecting maybe, I don't know, 20, 25, 30,
Sure.
something
Sure.
like that. We had over 75 people dressed up in the foyer at the hotel for the cosplay contest. I was just like, "Oh my
I
god,
remember.
man. Like, where are we gonna put all these people?" So, I mean, maybe we'll have another turnout like that this year, hopefully, because we
Yeah.
do awards and everything.
You
We
do,
have
right? You gonna have a
yep,
contest? Yeah.
yep,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah, we have categories, and we give plaques out for
Oh,
the
nice.
winners. Yeah.
I remember that front area of the hotel jam-packed because there
Oh
were a
yeah.
lot of friends and parents taking photos, and you had music going, like everything else was like, it was such a really cool experience. And yeah, I love seeing cosplay. I always say, like, every year I'm like, maybe I'll try cosplay this year, but I just never have the guts
Yeah.
to go through with it. Maybe one year I'll have to get creative and think of
Sure.
something. But I do love and appreciate those who really put their effort into
Yep.
the it is a type of art. I mean, the way that they
Oh my
create their
God.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. There's some
Um,
yep talented
Really
people
cool.
out there making costumes. You know.
Absolutely.
Yep.
A couple of comments here. Just wanted to highlight. First of all, my
Sure.
man Mark Robinson in the chat. He says, "Whoa, I can't believe I almost missed the best show on YouTube." Man, I appreciate the words. Good to see you, Mark. My dad
Yep.
saying Tony Atlas is a star, great artist too.
Oh
Yes, he
yeah.
had a ton of
Yes.
energy when I had met him briefly just last year. His booth was constantly
Yes.
busy. I mean, and he was just like talking to the kids, and like, again,
Oh
so
yeah.
much energy he had.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Yeah. Donnie says, I can attest to that. Tony's an amazing gentleman. Very cool.
Yep.
And even Mark too. Tony Atlas is one of my favorite wrestler heroes as a kid. He didn't really have a signature move that I remember, but he was great. That's really cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I could pull off Tarzan, Mark. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you want me to be pulling off
There you
Tarzan.
go. Get
We
your
want people to come to
loincloth
the
out,
show.
right?
We don't want people to leave the show. So yeah, so this is awesome, Joe. And
Yeah.
again, I'm really excited to to be there this year. Again, I know you have a ton of stuff going on, a lot of different artists and guests that are going to be there, a lot of vendors as well. I thought the vendors that were there last year were great. I mean, there was a ton of selection. Speaking from a comic collector standpoint, just you had certain guests that had like all moderns, which is what I was looking for. You had stuff that was like classic stuff. I know you had a booth set up like all the old stuff and new stuff. My dad had his own box. You had a Greg LaRoque box there set up.
You bet.
Marvel Team Up 141. What?
Yep.
Yeah, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm also just looking forward to, as we've been talking now, and this is, highlighting this show, that we're going to have a couple other shows coming up here in over the next couple of weeks. I know we haven't hammered out the details yet on the dates, but, Al Milgram being a name that we're going to have on the show. My dad, Greg LaRoque in the chat, going to be on the show, amongst others. So, I'm looking forward to more of that. And, anyone watching, whether you're here now with us or you're watching the replay, definitely keep an eye out on either my, Instagram. I'll be posting, I'm sure, the Hershey channels as well. So you can keep an eye out for that stuff. But I want to ask you another question before we get into, because I want to get into some some fun rapid fire stuff as well. Two questions for you, actually. So one, I always like to consider, if there's someone new watching, when I say new, someone new to the hobby, or maybe they haven't gone to a Comic-Con before. I want to ask you for just general advice. What is one piece of advice that comes to mind for you that you would tell to someone who may be brand new to Comic-Cons, who may not have ever been to a Comic-Con, whether it's a big one or a smaller one? Do you have any advice just in general for that person?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing when you get, and especially like with the show this year, because it is a lot larger than last year's show. Don't be overwhelmed. When you get there, I mean, that's the thing. When you get to a comic book convention, you can be overwhelmed. There is a lot of stuff to do and see at the show. Meaning you can spend a lot of time. That's why we did a 2-day show. Is you can literally spend 15 minutes, half hour talking to one of our guests, and before you know it, it might be like 2 in the afternoon. So don't get overwhelmed. Try and plan. Maybe take a look at the website, see who you want to meet. There will be lines, I'm sure, because we do have some pretty big guests, and we had some lines last year. But I'm expecting some big lines with some of the guests we have. Don't get overwhelmed. Sort of have a game plan a little when you want to go in there, because we're also going to have panels going on. If you want to sit in on panels to hear some of our guests talk about certain subjects. There's cosplay going on Sunday. There's also the Kubert School, which is going to be there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was very happy that they could make it. And not only that, but there's also some celebrities. So if you want to take some pictures with them or get some things signed, all that stuff takes time. Sort of plan your day to not get overwhelmed, but sort of pace it so that you get to see everything you want to see coming to the show. So if you don't get to see them the first day, you can actually do a 2-day pass. We have 2-day passes, and we also are doing a show exclusive print that you can get signed by 13 of our guests.
Oh,
so
that is really cool. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this year. I mean, it's pretty busy. Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, just don't get overwhelmed and sort of plan your day out. Try and figure out what you want to do.
That is great advice, Joe. And I think that even for me, someone who's been going, I still need to take time to plan that out, because you're absolutely right. Otherwise it gets, way too overwhelming, and, you spend too much time in one place and then you feel bad you didn't get to talk to somebody else. And you don't want to beat yourself up. But I think, like you said, have a plan. That is probably the best way to go. So I definitely agree about that. Love it. They're still talking about the Tarzan stuff. He says, Colin says, I don't have the legs to pull off the spandex. Mark says, okay, Tarzan might be a stretch. Goes Kazar. There you go. I could do that. I could definitely do that. Love it. Before I get into the rapid fire, one question I'd meant to ask you earlier. Do you have a special book with you that you'd like to share or show off and tell us about?
Sure do. This is one of my favorite characters.
Yep.
I don't know if you're able to see it. It's in a plastic sleeve. It's actually Marvel Spotlight #5.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
Uh,
try to angle it a
first,
little. Sometimes it
yeah,
might turn a little bit.
I don't know if
No.
that helps at all. So
But it's a
can't really
classic
see
book.
it. Yep.
What grade is it?
Yeah, it's actually a 5.5, so
Nice.
it's like a mid-grade. It's not
Yeah.
really beat up. It's just, mid-grade copy. That's actually a tough book to come by in high grade. It had
Mhm.
because of the black cover, intro Johnny Blaze, first Johnny Blaze.
Yep.
And so, you can get your that's the cool thing. Like this book here, I've loved Ghost Rider for forever.
Yep.
I grew up on Danny Ketch, which was actually the second volume, but I also went back and read the Johnny Blaze series, which is what that is.
Mhm.
First Johnny Blaze Spotlight 5. It just so happens that it's actually written by Roy Thomas. So,
Oh man,
um, might
perfect.
get that signed up at
Yeah,
the show.
the stars
And
align.
that's the other thing I meant to mention. We also
Yeah.
do have CGC facilitators coming to the show.
Oh, nice. All right.
So
Very cool.
everything that you
Yeah.
get signed, you can either get encapsulated or you can get a certificate, which adds
Nice.
a little flavor to your collection.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we'll have those guys at the show, all scattered through the whole layout, so you can get them to witness your signatures. You know,
Nice.
yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. I have to ask, so why that book and why Ghost Rider? I mean, that so he's is he one of your
Yeah.
favorite characters? Is
Oh, yeah. Oh my
yeah.
god, yeah. I was such a fanboy when they did the movie. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be cool." And it was.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a pretty good movie. I mean, it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
little campy, but,
Sure,
it's
sure.
Ghost Rider, so it's gotta have a little campiness to it.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I've read Ghost Rider forever, and, I just love the character. I mean,
Yeah,
there's been different iterations of Ghost Rider over the years,
sure.
the Western Ghost Rider and the motorcycle Ghost Rider,
Mm.
and different characters who have played the part. But that's definitely one of my favorite books. I've had that for a long time,
Yeah.
and I just read a lot of Ghost Rider, and the cool thing about these certain characters, like I told you I'm a big Hulk fan, a Wolverine, and
Mhm.
so on and so, and Doom Patrol and whatnot, is you get to see, like, especially at conventions, you get to see and read different writers' takes on the characters.
Yeah,
You get to see different artists' takes on the characters,
that's
and
true.
so like I know I've referenced the '80s Doom Patrol a lot, but it was such a cool series that you just get engrossed into the story and the artwork,
Yeah.
and then the cool thing is you can actually get your book signed by these guys at the shows.
Yeah.
So that's the cool part.
I
You
love
get
it.
to you meet these guys and actually get their signatures and talk to them about the characters.
Yeah, 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 find
So
some interesting backstories that you might not have known
sure.
about,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Yep.
prior to that. I have a buddy, Michael, Soph Collector, shout out to him, he's not here right now, but he is a huge fan of Ghost Rider, so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure if he'll watch this episode later, he is going to love to hear that you talked about him here today, so that's,
Oh yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
And actually, Ghost Rider just came out with a new book today, right? For New Comic Book Day, there was a new release
There's a
for
new Ghost Rider
for
series
a new
out.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yep.
saw that.
Yep.
I'll have to check it out.
Yep.
Cool, man. So, for if anyone's just joining us right now, again, talking with Joe Figured, he is the main promoter for Hershey Comic Con coming up July 1st and 2nd. If you guys are around the area in Pennsylvania, definitely check it out. I put the links in the description below. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you follow the channel over on Instagram and all the other platforms that Hershey is on right now. Yeah, I want to get into some of the rapid fire stuff, Joe, before we get
Sure.
out of here.
Yep.
So let me bring up some of my questions. It's been a little while since I did this, but I call this the rapid fire segment of the show.
Yep.
I put it in quotes though because sometimes it's not so rapid as sometimes we like. Sometimes I want to hear you elaborate on certain things,
Sure.
and so we'll see how well this goes. My
We'll
girlfriend's
go
always like,
quick.
it's not rapid, right? I'm like, yeah, we try to
Yep.
make it rapid. So I think you already answered one of the questions I had, so I'm going to kind of reverse it here.
Sure.
Who is one of your favorite villains of all time from any comic book related series?
Well, I definitely like Apocalypse.
Oh
He's
yeah,
one of my
nice.
favorites. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
love it.
I've read a lot of X Factor over the years. Louis Simonson and Walt Simonson on the series.
Yeah,
Grew up reading that series back in the '80s. and
Yeah.
he's definitely one of my favorite characters.
Oh, that's awesome. I have
Yep.
to ask, have you read X of Swords, the current any are you reading any of the current X-Men stuff? Or
I did read it a little. I didn't finish it through, but
okay.
yeah, it's pretty good. The
Because
the
he
problem with the X-Men series these days is I mean, when they do something like that, they cross over like every title, and
it's a
you're just
lot.
like
Yeah.
drowning in storyline. Yep.
Yeah, there was like 25. Like I feel
Yeah.
like because I really enjoyed that run, the X of Swords.
Yep.
I would say it's probably better to read it in like one sitting or like
Yes.
when you have like I think they're making like an omnibus for it or something like that or a
Yep.
hardcover of some sort. That's probably like the best way to kind of read it.
Sure.
It was tough reading,
Yes.
waiting for each issue to come out or whatever. But
Yep. I
if you're a
agree.
fan though, yeah, if you're a fan, that was all about him. So that was yeah, I really enjoyed
Yep.
that. You see what I mean about this rapid stuff, Joe? Already we're it's me though, it's not you, it's me.
Yep.
All right, next question for you. If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
I would probably be Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I like the Fantastic Four, and I
Yep.
always thought he was a pretty cool character.
Oh
Yep.
man, yeah, his ability is wild. Being able to
Yep.
stretch like that. I mean, I love when he's like something's falling from far away,
Yeah, and he's just
stretching
like,
his
it's
leg.
like a big old
Yeah,
rubber.
yeah, it's great. Hey,
Yep.
we got my friend Sheena in the chat. What is up, Sheena? Hello, hello.
Woohoo.
Thanks for stopping by. All right, next one is all right, this is tough, Joe, and I really want you to think about this. And
Sure.
you can only choose one. That's what makes it so tough.
One.
If you could only choose one artist to be considered your favorite of all time comic book artist, who would that be?
Well, I have to honestly say, I mean, I've had this gentleman at a number of shows. Herb Trimpe is probably one of my favorite artists
Oh, yeah.
because he's a primarily he was did a long run on Hulk,
Hulk. Yeah.
and so I'm a big Hulk fan.
Yeah.
So he's no longer with us, but I
Mm.
had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's that. I was gonna say the Hulk stuff is what I'm familiar with, and I mean, I certainly,
yep,
know he was in the industry for a long time.
sure.
So great choice, great choice. Um, what was the last comic book that you read? Do you recall?
Yeah, yeah. Joe Fixit. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Joe. Yeah, it's they did a mini series, and I was like blown away because I read.
The new one, or is it?
Yeah, yeah, it was a
Yeah, right.
5 issue
Yeah.
mini series. Yeah,
Yep.
and as a matter of fact, Peter David wrote it, and Jeff Purves did not draw it. But I'm a big, like I said, I'm a big Hulk fan, so I did read the Mister Fix It, which comes out of the Hulk series from years ago when Peter David actually created the character. He's a
Oh,
bouncer
wow.
in Vegas. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice, nice. I remember seeing that coming out on the shelves
yep.
over the past couple of months. My dad asked, great pick. Oh, talking about the artist. Do you have any of his pencils?
I don't have any of his
Mm,
pencils. Oh, you mean Herb Trimpe's?
for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I own some Herb
Yeah.
Trimpe originals. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, as
Nice.
a matter of fact, he drew me, Wolverine when I had him at a
Oh,
show,
oh, nice.
and he drew it in the original style from the '70s, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, great, I mean, I loved Herb, he was a fantastic guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I missed a comment up here. Eric said, been recently getting into titles from the 70s. Great era. He said it would be so cool to have Roy sign a Ghost Rider book from the collection. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna be in the area, coming up in
Yeah.
July, man,
Well,
you should stop
real
by.
quick, I mean,
Yeah,
this is an expensive book, but honestly, I
right.
mean, he did, this whole run from number 5 up through I think it's like 12.
Mhm.
So, and they're not all expensive. It's just this one
Right,
that's expensive because it's the intro.
right,
But
right.
yeah, I'd try and get some Marvel spotlights, bring them to the show.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, love rapid fire segments. Yeah, you gotta love them. Gotta love them. Yeah, my dad agrees. Trippy's pencil work was gorgeous. His magic lost in ink sometimes. Oh, interesting.
Yes, agreed. Totally agree. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question here. This is more for me because I'm an X-Men fan. If you had to choose, are you more on the original X-Men team or the new X-Men team? New being,
Yep.
Storm and Wolverine in them.
I'm a little partial to the original X-Men lineup. Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
I'll let it go. I'll let
Only
it go.
because when they did the X Factor, I was like, oh my god, they got the original team together.
Oh yeah,
So
you're excited.
yeah.
Did you see
Yep.
that new cover, that new Marks Brooks cover that just came out today? It had
Oh
the
my
original
god,
team.
Mark Brooks is
Yeah,
incredible, man. his artwork is just crazy. Yeah.
Uh, oh man, I don't have it here next to me. Yeah,
Yep.
but that was is a cool cover he just did. Just came out
Yeah.
today. All right, let's see. Next one up. Oh, I love this question. All right, if you could travel back in time, like literal time travel,
Uh-huh.
and you could go back to any era, any time, any year, and buy one comic book off the shelf at cover price that you could bring back to current day. The only catch is this book has to go to the grave with you, so there's no selling or reselling. What
Yep.
book would it be that you could travel back in time and get a nice crispy book off the shelf?
I'm not as crazy as it sounds, I'm not into the expensive kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, I grew up, like getting envision all these, these classic covers and stuff.
sure.
It was actually a copy of I believe it was Brave and Bold, believe it or not. Um, and but this one does actually did start to accrue a value. Brave and
Yeah.
Bold 28,
Okay.
which is Intro Justice League.
Yep.
You know, has that cool Starro cover on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the cool part is they actually used Starro in the second Suicide Squad as the villain.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy! They're actually using Starro."
Yeah. You never think
James
that.
Gunn is nuts, man. He pulls anything out of anywhere.
Right. 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 Yeah. I would have loved to see the meeting when he brought that to the table and says,
Yep.
"Oh yeah, no, we're that Starro's going to be in this film." Like
Yep.
and everyone else
Yeah.
is like, "Oh, okay, we're going to make this work. We're going to make it
Yep.
work." And I thought
Yeah.
they did a great job. I thought that was a
Oh my
blast. That
god,
movie.
yeah.
I love that
Yep.
movie.
For sure. Yep.
So that's a great book, and would be very cool to have in
Sure.
pristine condition
Oh
as
yeah.
well. Yeah. Um, let's see. Another question here. What's your favorite comic book run or series, or do you have one that's kind of like just an all-time favorite?
Well, I think I already disclosed that the
Oh,
'80s Doom Patrol with
that's
Kupperberg.
true. Yeah,
Yep. I mean, he did. I mean, I have a lot of favorite runs,
sure.
but the Doom Patrol run from the '80s, and there's, the crazy thing is there's 17 issues that Kupperberg wrote, and
Yeah.
then after that, Grant Morrison took over, and that's where you get Crazy Jane, which comes into play, and Grant
Mhm.
Morrison was doing the writing on it, so it changes a pace, big time change in pace, because they turned it into a Vertigo series.
Right.
Um, so, I know I'm pumping Doom Patrol quite a bit, but
No, I
it
love it, man.
really
It's great.
they
This is
have
your show.
they have
So
the craziest villains. They
yeah.
have and it's funny because I talk about this character all the time. People are just blown away when I say, "Oh yeah, like read that series, you can read it in the character called the Animal Vegetable Mineral Man." And as a matter of fact, one of my friends D, he's just like, "That's not a character." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a character."
That's a good.
And I have to pull out the comic just to show him because he doesn't. And the Animal Vegetable Mineral Man is literally all these different parts of animals, vegetable. It's this crazy looking villain. And
That's great.
when you tell people about that, they're just like, "You're making that up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about?" You know?
I was saying I've never heard of it, so
Oh
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. You
Yeah.
read that, man. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty off the wall.
I love it. I see a couple comments here. One, I wanted to say a quick hello to my man Kenneth Bird in the chat. Good to see you, Kenneth.
Right?
And Donnie here asks, great question. I'll throw this one to you, Joe. Who would be your dream creative team if you had to choose a writer, a penciler, and a cover artist, even an inker if you want to throw that in? But who would be your core, like 3 or 4 that come to mind for you?
Yeah. So definitely, I know I haven't thrown his name out because he's a little older, but well, he's not no longer with us. Jack Kirby for sure.
Mm, yep.
He's one of my favorite artists. I love his style,
Yep.
and I'm a huge well, so probably I would pick a writer from the Daredevil run, from the original Daredevil run. You
Oh,
know,
okay. Yeah. Nice.
so
Yep.
yeah, so somebody from the Daredevil run,
Sure.
and probably uh, like I said, for the artist Jack Kirby.
Yeah. That's a great
That
team
that's
right there. Yeah.
and you gotta pick some inks. So I know I don't I didn't say any inkers here, but I have a guy who is also coming to Hershey, and I mean there's a lot of guys who do inks that are coming to Hershey, but
Sure.
good fan friend and fantastic inker Rich Bonk.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
his pencils and inks are just crazy. I bought some original artwork from him,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, very very nice guy too. Yep.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to stop by. I'll have to
Yeah, definitely. Oh
look
my
them up.
god.
Yeah.
but I don't want to say one guy. I mean, there's so many guys who
Oh
do
yeah,
things at this show.
of
Oh my
course.
God,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got Kevin Conrad,
Yep.
Bob Whitecheck,
Oh
Sam
yeah.
De La Rosa. I mean,
Yep.
there's a slew of guys who are primarily inkers, but they also do a lot of original artwork
Right.
and stuff. And man, I'll tell you what, it just blows you away some of the artwork that you'll see at this show. You know,
Yeah, I'm already nervous. I know I'm going to be spending maybe a little too
bring
much money
bring
at
a
this.
big wad of cash, right?
I got to start saving now. I should have started 2.5 months ago or something.
Yep,
No, that's really cool. And yeah, I know there's, like I said, for anyone joining us or if you're watching this replay, definitely check out the website. Check out all the different guests and creators that are going to be there, from comics to wrestling to voiceover, everything. It's going to
yep,
be awesome. Yeah. Joe, a couple of last minute questions here, and these are more non-comic book, just a little bit about
sure,
you.
yep.
First of all, this is a two-parter. Are you into sports? And if you are, who is like your favorite sports team or sports teams?
Well, I don't want anybody to throw anything at me. So, yes, I'm into sports. I like professional football.
All right, all right.
I'm a Steeler fan.
Uh,
I know, right? So, yeah,
why
but
did I even set you up there?
I've been a Steeler fan since day one. I've been through the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh
You
no!
know.
Oh no!
So, yeah, but
uh,
I do like other teams. I mean, I've
yeah,
liked,
yeah.
actually, I always tell people I've watched the Patriots when Steve Grogan was their quarterback and they were 1-14
Oh
before
man!
they became Super Bowl champs number of times.
Right,
So
right.
the Patriots, the 49ers, but the Steelers were my main team. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You'll have to, and I don't know if you had in the past, but if not, you'll have to talk to my dad more
oh
about
yeah.
that because he's
Yep.
very mixed. He's a big Ravens fan, but oddly enough,
Yep.
he's also a big Steelers fan. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
but yeah, I love it. I love it.
Sure.
All right, next question here. Let's talk about music.
Sure.
What's your favorite genre, and do you have like a favorite artist or band that stands out?
I do. I'm into hard rock, heavy
Mm,
metal, and
nice.
probably let's see who's my favorite. I guess if I was to say one of my favorites, I did follow a band called Godsmack for a long time,
Oh yeah,
and
no,
I
that's
saw them 3 times in concert.
nice.
Um, but one of my favorite singers of all time, Ronnie James Dio,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
he was the
Yeah.
lead singer of Rainbow and Black
Mhm.
Sabbath before he
Yep.
went solo. Yep.
Yep. His stuff's great. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. A legend.
Oh my God.
Uh, yeah. We'll have to talk. We'll definitely have to talk some metal.
Oh, yeah, man.
I've gone through the years of metal and everything from, the hit stuff, the big names and artists
Yep,
to some of the real unique, across the seas, metal bands that aren't really known here
sure.
in the States. I
Yep.
used to run a blog. I used to run a metal blog, actually. My buddy and I used to
Oh, wow.
write blogs and listen to just these undercover or underground metal
Yep,
bands that never really got any reach. But I'm
sure.
a big like Mastodon fan and Nightwish and
Yeah, I saw Mastodon. I did.
did you? Oh, I see him. I
Yep.
try to get him every year.
Yeah.
Lady No Good and I, we both try to go. We just got tickets. Actually, they're going to be with Gojira this year. I think as a
Oh, I saw
co-headliner.
Gojira too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you? I've never seen
Yeah.
Gojira, but
They were at a festival over in Camden, New Jersey. We saw
oh, okay,
Gojira and
nice.
Mastodon and Five Finger Death Punch and Zombie,
Oh,
and
nice.
so
Oh man,
it was a hell of
everybody.
a show. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really cool.
those festivals are the best. Like
Yeah.
if you could ever go to like the open, what's it, the Vakken Open Air Festival or whatever it is out in like
Yep.
Germany or anything like that. Like I would love to attend one of those. Are
Oh
like
yeah.
those are the crazy ones where they're like 10 days, and people camp out and all that. I don't know if I could do all that, but I
Yeah.
would go for a couple days.
Right.
But that's cool, man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely right here with you. Yeah, and speaking of, so my buddy Donnie here, he's all about music too. Definitely open to the music conversation. He says Joe and I have had a few music conversations in the shop. Nice,
Yeah.
nice, very cool. Um, let's see. Oh, and my man Mercy, Andres from Sweden. Good morning. It's
Wow.
morning
Cool.
for you right now. Good to
That's
see you, Andres. Yeah, Andres is a great guy. I got to meet him through the community. He's been on this show before too, actually.
nice.
So hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's got to be like 6 o'clock his time in the morning, I think.
Wow.
Hope you're doing well, Andres. All right, last couple questions here. If you could go anywhere in the world, like vacation, you and your family at no
Yep.
cost, where would you travel to?
We at some point I think we're going to take a trip to maybe Germany. Yeah,
Oh, nice. Nice.
yeah.
What part? Or is there a certain city that you want to go to? Or
Yeah, nothing in particular. Probably,
okay,
tour around.
nice.
I did. I took German as a language in high school,
Oh, okay.
and I was my teacher, Herr Singer. I mean, he was quite the character. But
Nice.
I think we'd like to probably visit there. That'd be a nice place to, nice history and whatnot.
Yeah,
Nice lot of
yeah.
things to see for sure.
Yeah, yep. A lot of great beer there too.
Oh
Uh,
my God, yeah. Yep,
I went there once for business, and there was we were in Frankfurt, and
yeah,
it was really cool. Yeah, really really unique. So very cool. Last question, and I always like to end the interview or the last set of questions with
sure.
food, because we all can relate to food.
Yep.
What is your if it's like a Friday evening, and it's just you and your family, you can have anything you want, whether you go out to eat or you order something in or you're cooking. What is your go-to meal for like just a Friday night meal where you got nothing to do after that? You just relax and enjoy.
Well, I like seafood, Justin,
Oh,
so
love it.
I would probably go get some crab legs.
Yes, love it. See, this
Yeah.
is maybe why you like Maryland too, because Maryland's
Yep.
got some great
We've
crab
been down
legs.
to Maryland and had the blue crab, yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. Yep, yep. I'm with you. I'm with you there. That, throwing some sushi, I'm
Oh
with
my
you.
god, yeah, yep, there you go.
For
That
for
works.
any for anyone that's a longtime watcher of this particular show, they know I feel like I always try to somehow mention sushi on this show. And it's not me, it's my guests. Everyone's a fan. So
Right.
if Steve is still in the chat, he knows what's up. But
Yep.
yeah, Lady No Good, she said that she loved Germany too. Yeah, she was over there. Nice.
Nice.
Yep. Very cool. Well, Joe, these are the questions that I had for you. I
Yep.
appreciate you being here, being on the channel.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to our next couple of shows that I know we're working out with, having some of the other guests come on for similar interviews like this. And then obviously I'm looking forward to the show itself coming up in July. So
Yep.
before we close out, feel free to take the floor. Is there anything that you want to shout out? Anything upcoming that you want the viewers to watch or to know about that's coming up here? The floor is yours.
No, I think you pretty much hit it early on. We have, we are on all the social media platforms. Like last year we weren't, but we made it a point to make sure we reached out, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and whatnot. So definitely check out the Hershey website for sure, because we will be doing some more advertising of the guests that are going to be coming. Like I said, we just added Duncan Watson, who is the voice actor for Charlie Brown. He wasn't advertised yet, but we will be announcing him. And we also do, I guess I didn't mention, we do have paranormal guests coming, which is a little different flavor, but I think it's pretty cool flavor. Jeremy Leonard, who's coming all the way from Louisiana
Nice.
to come up to the show. He was on the Travel Channel, and not only Jeremy Leonard, but also Shannon Collins,
Huh.
and we're probably going to put together a paranormal panel. So, like I said, we tried a couple different things this year that we haven't in the past, especially with the voice actors, actresses.
Yep.
But definitely visit the website. We'll be putting more information on there as far as, and the show exclusive print that we didn't advertise yet, but we are going to advertise. That is pretty cool. I mean, I'm not trying to pump the hell out of the show, but this is something that we did sink a lot of time into, and we have 13 original sketches that you can literally get the print and get all 13 guests to sign the
Wow.
print, which is
That
pretty
is
cool.
really cool. Yeah.
All original artwork, which we're going to auction off for Heroes Initiative. We're going to
Oh,
give the money
nice.
to Hero Initiative. Yeah, I should have plugged that before. All the
Yeah.
money that's generated there is going to go to Hero Initiative. So
Wow.
we're,
Okay.
we're doing a couple different cool causes this year too.
Love it. I love
Yeah,
it. Well, here's the link. I just dropped it back here
yeah,
in the chat
appreciate
as
that.
well. So anybody that's watching now, we still got 12 people with us. So appreciate everybody
Nice.
who's hanging out with us. Definitely, reach out to Joe if you guys have any other questions or
Yep,
anything. Make sure you follow all the different channels that they
yep,
have. Visit the website, buy your tickets, sign up, get the
yep,
2-day pass that Joe
yep.
mentioned. if you do cosplay, get dressed up and come on
Yeah.
out and have some fun, do some cosplay. Like I said, I'll be there as well. So I'm looking forward to hanging out. My dad will be there. A lot of my family will be there. So we're looking forward to just hanging out, having a great time, getting to meet all the different guests that you're going to have there, and
Yeah.
vendors, and just seeing the crowds and everything else. I can't wait to capture all the videos and photos, and I know we'll might even do a couple live interviews right on the showroom
Sure.
floor. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be a blast as well. Well, I think that covers everything here. So, Joe, again, I just want to thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, man, this was a blast. Love getting
Yep.
to know you more, man. I feel like we could talk comics forever, and maybe we have to do that again sometime
Yeah.
and catch
Hey,
up.
let's
Yeah,
do some future podcasts, man. We can talk
yep.
comics.
I was gonna say I will have to do. I'll report back after I read some Doom Patrol
There
that
you
you've been
go. Yep.
recommending. So
Yep.
that's on my list now, my long list, but I'll move it up on my list.
Sure.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for the kind words, Donnie as well. Appreciate all you guys hanging out here in the chat. Thanks again for hanging out with us. So Comic Collector Origins, I will be back. Again, this is kind of a limited time that I'm doing this show again. It's not necessarily something I'm doing long term, but this is to highlight Hershey Comic Con and some of the guests. So, we started here tonight with Joe, and we're going to have a few more over the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for them. We will promote them along the way. Otherwise, all the links are in the description, so make sure you check them out as well. Hopefully, we can see you at the show. Make sure you say hello if you're there. But until next time, we will talk to you guys later.